So when we talk revenue, I think the big thing is you want good locations that are gonna the cash flow. Like the risk is always a bad location. And for us, kind of our goal is $70 a day or more. That kind of gets us up over $2,500 a month. We have everything from there to, we have a micro market that last month, the last 30 days, it's literally done 17 grand. So it's doing $565 a day. So that's kind of the beauty is as you try to find out what's working at these locations and then double down on that to drive increases in sales.
Welcome back to the show Disruptors. I'm your host, Aaron Hale, and this is Point of Impact. And before I introduce our guest today, I want to tell you about a little project we've been working on. We've been diligently uh, uh, working hard to get our latest short-term rental up and running here in Florida. And imagine if you're on a vacation to Florida and just as you drop all your bags in the Airbnb and you're ready to hit the beach, when you realize that the little tote bag that had your phone charger, sunglasses, visor, sunblock, all that stuff is still sitting on the counter back in Sandusky, Ohio. Well, instead of hitting the convenience store, you look over to the corner and there's this retro vending machine sitting right there, maybe in the living room or the hallway. And you look inside, and lo and behold, there are various sunglasses, kids' sunglasses, sunblock, aloe, lotion, even USB chargers, those little cubes and different size charging cables. And all you got to do is swipe a card, hit a button, and the little spiral dispensers will drop just what you're missing right into the bottom of the tray. Well, today's guest, he's doing vending machines on a whole nother level. And I thought it's a neat, novel idea. I don't know if it's going to do enough volume to actually be worth it, but I thought it's a novel idea, and we think our guests will appreciate it. What you'll appreciate today is how Mike Hoffman is breaking down everything vending machines, and he's doing it on a whole nother level. And he's talking about how he turned a side hustle into millions in just a few short years. And he's going to show you how he did it as well. Imagine he's going to tell you how to pick the right machine, find the right location, and what to put in it so you can turn it into a cash flow behemoth. And he's also talking about how he sources his supplies, financing the machines, and the terms on the financing is absolutely ridiculous. It's pretty much just giving them away. Right? 0% financing, 0% down, and nothing for 12 months on a machine that pays itself off in under a year. So yeah, essentially for free. And the technology today, I mean, we're a far cry from coins and cash and even swiping cards. I mean, imagine walking up to or into a vending machine, reaching right into a shelf without opening a door or pressing any buttons, and just letting cameras and AI do the work. It's absolutely incredible. He's talking about it all right now. And if you are looking for a side hustle with a low barrier of entry, maybe you're looking to just augment your W-2 or find a way to transition from your W-2. Well, how about if you've got a teenager in the house who's looking for gas money, spending cash, or a way to pay his or her way through college? You can do it with vending machines, and Mike Hoffman's about to tell you right now. Mike, welcome to Point of Impact.
Aaron, thank you for having me. Fired up to be here.
Well, I tell you what, I love what you're doing. And a funny story, when I first went blind and I was going through this whole transition thing from, DOD, the military, over to VA and going through this whole retirement and stuff. This is a huge process, and one of it is like registering for vocational rehabilitation with the VA. It's a great program, but uh, they were talking to me about what I could do as an occupation after going blind, and they're like, we can train you to, you can train to be, to fill vending machines. And I was thinking, ugh, really? I went from defusing bombs in the military, to filling vending machines. But I it was one of those very uh I had a very limited view, so to speak, about vending, and I didn't want to do an hourly job like that. But uh little did I know about the entrepreneur route. So tell me, how did you get into vending machines?
Yeah, no, that's Aaron. I think something that hearing your story, one, is fascinating, but two, you think about kind of traditional vending, and it's a lot of these big corporations that have hourly employees stocking their machines, and I think it goes against kind of what I'm about is like, why not you create your own business and then you are going to be that much more passionate to build a brand, and if you want to hire an operator to stock your machine someday, you definitely can, but ultimately, when you have skin in the game as a business owner, you're going to care that much more, and that's kind of um, really what I'm about is the American way of there's an opportunity here, there's a disruption in the vending industry, so to speak, with regards to old school machines now having open micro markets. And instead of buying Snickers, you can buy freaking laundry pods and a sandwich. So that's kind of this disruption and prime opportunity for people to really kind of dive in and build something that's a little more impactful than an hourly wage stocking machines.
It's incredible what you can find nowadays in vending machines. Uh, just a quick search, I was finding stuff. There were vending machines with jewelry in them, electronics. I mean, it's not just sodas and chips anymore, and they're getting really high tech. So,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you look at there's a Lego vending machine in the O'Hare Airport in Chicago, and you think about it as a parent with two kids under the age of 3. Will I pay $60 to distract my kids to put together a Lego set on a 6-hour international flight to Europe? Absolutely. That's the best $60 you can spend on
mhm.
keeping kids occupied for 6 hours. So you're spot on. Gone are the days of enter in a motor and get your $2 Snickers or your $2 Diet Coke. Now you can go through the O'Hare Airport and buy some Apple Pods and buy a Lego set, all without talking to no one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you could almost literally put anything into a vending machine, and then it all depends on what margin, what the markup is, and uh, I guess placement. But then I'll let you describe that. I'd like to hear a little bit more about your journey. Discovering this entrepreneurial path and how you got your start.
Yeah, so looking back on it, my parents definitely had a huge influence on my journey, as most people. And my dad had a vet business as a veterinarian, and really kind of an entrepreneur mindset with that regard. And then, my mom was a teacher, but worked during the summer with some different things. So I kind of grew up with the mindset a little bit without even just kind of reflecting on it. But I think where I really got into this vending journey is I actually did some consulting with a tech company I worked for with the military. So people like yourself in the military and the Navy, the Army, and I'd drive around to these bases, and living on the West Coast and going to Fort Bragg or going to Virginia Beach wasn't easy to get to. So I would have all these layovers in airports, and I'd be like, looking at this vending machine when I'd walk through the airport, I'd be like, that bottle of water costs $6. And I know it costs 35 cents at Costco. And so someone is making a massive margin off of me for convenience because I'm in the airport, so I'm not going to go to Costco. And then also someone is not working while I buy this while I buy this water from this machine. And so I just got fascinated on this concept of like earn with your mind and not your time. And I kind of just went down a rabbit hole and started to build a route myself. And now I really try to help other people across the country and the world kind of take that entrepreneur journey and build routes wherever they live.
Yeah. How many times have you seen some kind of a yeah, a business idea? You walk past some kind of someone's venture and thought, that's a brilliant idea. I wish I thought of that. And then you
All the
see,
time.
yeah, yeah, all the time. And uh, of course, here in Florida, every time there's a big hurricane, water bottle, prices of water goes up, and everybody complains about price gouging when it goes up 50 cents or a bottle. And then you fly in the airport, we don't say a thing about that $5-6 bottle of water, but it's all about price versus demand. And when you're sitting around in an airport and there are limited places to buy water, where it's a whole lot of trouble to leave security, drive down the road to the convenience store, come back, go back through security. Of course, that makes sense. That that bottle of water is more valuable, and people are willing to pay it. But that's 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 one of the questions I definitely want to get into is about placement. But before we get into that, how much do these vending machines cost? To if somebody wanted to get started in vending, what is the average price? Are you buying new? Are you buying used?
Yeah, so you can do any of the above. I've done both. I bought a used machine, my first machine, because this same machine, brand new MSRP is probably like $5,500, and I saw one on Craigslist, the same machine used for I think $2,500, and I paid $500 for delivery, and I was like, oh man, I'm saving $2,500 there, and like I got a used machine. This is a screaming deal. I found the machine off Craigslist. Well, 6 months after installing that machine, it was broken and it wasn't under warranty because it was a used machine. And I was like, my big thing is passive income, and how do I make vending passive with operations and systems and etc. So ever since that experience, I only buy new machines that are under warranty. Most machines are anywhere from 5 to 10 grand, depending on the AI cameras and the smart technology in the machine. But I'm a big believer, because the cash flow in vending is so lucrative, of making your capital go farther. So I actually finance the machines and then just use the profits to pay them off early. So a lot of these machines, the manufacturers, it's like a car dealership. They'll be like, do you want to pay for it up front? Do you want to finance it with no money down? It's your choice.
And what kind of machines are these? 5 to 10 grand. What do you have uh, a particular niche? Do you stick with one type, or do you have many different types?
Many different types, mainly for the type of location. So, for example, we do a lot of machines that are locked with AI cameras. If we're worried about theft, let's say it's in a rough part of town at an apartment complex where someone at midnight might roll through the lobby and try to raid it. So, we'll do a lot of like locked door machines where you have to put your credit card or Apple Pay on the door before it unlocks. It'll validate it, and then the minute Aaron opens the door and pulls out three different items and walks away, those AI cameras will charge you. So you don't have to scan anything barcode wise, like a checkout at a grocery store. You don't have to, enter in codes for each item you want. You literally, once that door is unlocked with your credit card, grab whatever you want and walk away. And what we've noticed with these smart machines is our transaction values will be actually 3x higher than a traditional machine. Like I have machines in my own route where we went with the old school machines to start way back before COVID. We're talking about the machines where you enter in a motor, code? Are you entering a code to, oh, the Snickers is C4, and then, the motor pushes it out? I swap
Mm-hmm.
those kind of machines out with these smart machines with the unlock the door concept and grab whatever you want. Same exact locations. And I went from my previous machines doing $40 a day to now these smart machines doing over $120 a day.
So how does this work? That you put in a code, or you just swipe a card, and it
Yeah, you just
unlocks
swipe a
the.
card. There's a point of sale right on the door handle. And so the door's locked. You put a card or an Apple Pay on there to unlock the door. And then inside the cooler of the machine, there's AI cameras that's tracking whatever you grab. And on the back end, before we install it, we build out a planogram of what products are where. So the AI cameras know, okay, the top left first two rows are beef jerky, or the bottom right last two rows are laundry pods and dishwasher soap. So when Aaron grabs out of those slots, the AI cameras will charge whatever card you use to unlock the door.
That's amazing. I mean, and you know what? That reminds me of some of these AI apps for the blind, where you can take a picture of inside your fridge and it'll give you ideas for recipes, or tell you about how full or empty something is, or just what something is. So it makes perfect sense that it could keep inventory. That's that's fantastic, and you're capitalizing on that impulse buy, right? You somebody says, "I just need to get a bottle of water," but then there's an apple or banana right next to it. You know, well, I'm kind of hungry, and oh, you know what? I also have to, like, I don't know what else would be in there, but like you said, oh, laundry pods. You know what? I got to do my laundry, and all of a sudden they're clearing out a shelf. That makes perfect sense. So how these machines, these are on the higher end. You're saying of about 10 grand a piece. Do you where do you source these things? Can you finance them? And how does purchasing work?
Yeah, so you can finance them, you can purchase them. There's a couple different angles. Like one thing, I'm actually getting ready to order some smart machines from a company called Cantaloupe, where they'll ask you like, "Hey, do you want to put any money down? Do you want to do?" What they'll actually do is they'll do, let's say, Aaron, I buy a pair of machines for $10,000. I'm just hypothetical here. They'll actually say, why don't we finance these over 12 months at whatever, 12 months divided by 10 grand, let's say $800 a month. And if that machine's doing 3 grand in sales, they'll actually hold back that $800 payment because they're also doing the revenue recognition from the machine. So I'll actually pay off that machine in 12 months before that money even hits my bank account. When you got vending margins at 35% from cost of goods, it's a really simple way to pay off that machine without having to do a monthly payment over 60 months or a come up with the 10 grand up front.
So you're financing through the supplier, or is this
Correct. Yep.
and what are you looking at for, say, monthly uh, uh, payments on that?
Well, so if it's 10 grand over 12 months, then you're looking at $800, and in that situation it'd be 0% interest.
How much?
0% interest.
No interest. Incredible.
No interest.
Wow. And uh, so you've got these vending machines. You said no interest. How much down?
Uh Nothing. I'm not going to do any money down. This is kind of the playbook I love to do, is find a really good location that's going to cash flow very well, and then do no money down with my equipment, and then try to pay them off within the first year. And then from like the back end on the tax side of things, I'm definitely not a tax expert, but this equipment has full depreciation in the first year.
Wow. Okay. So zero down, zero interest. Uh, is this common, or is this
Yeah, it's just like a a lot of these, yeah, all these suppliers are just like car dealers. They're gonna, when you go to buy a machine, they're gonna be like, okay, do you want to pay for it with cash? Do you want to finance it? And then each one of them has creative terms, um, based on they want your business.
they just want them out the door?
Yep.
And okay, so they're talking about placement. Of course, you don't want like a hot coffee machine right by the beach, and you don't want a frozen smoothie machine up on the mountain. Uh, Probably vice versa. Uh, I know around here because we are right on the beach, in the hot, sunny Florida, and ice machines are, they're everywhere because everybody, needs to stay cool. But how do you find the right location, the right machine for the right location? And then I mean, these are, I don't know, like airports, hotels. Where else are you looking, and how do you find these locations?
Yeah. So the simple answer is you want to find anywhere with high foot traffic. Um, to make it even simpler, if you don't know how to gauge foot traffic, is the parking lot full? I think that's the simplest of all revenue predictions. Is, do they have a full parking lot? Is that a medical office building that's got, the x-rays on the first floor, it's got oncology and optometry on the second floor? Do they got accounting on the third floor, but they have one main entrance and the parking lot is always jammed? Like, that's going to be a great location, especially if you do it in the lobby where people are walking in. Obviously, airports are a good location, and that market's pretty well penetrated already. But the way we look at it is, with foot traffic, kind of two different sections. You got places people live, so apartment complexes, condos, senior citizen homes,
Hmm.
and then you got places where people work. So you think of your, I already talked about the medical office buildings, but think of the break rooms of any building that has 100 plus employees. So whether that's a manufacturing plant that has shift workers that are working through the night, they got three shifts, they got people getting off at 7 a.m., they got people starting at 7 a.m., they got people getting off at 7 p.m., they got people starting at 7 p.m. Like, those kind of places all have break rooms. And is the market saturated with vending machines? Absolutely. Vending machines have been around forever, but guess what? No one has really kind of gone after the market with these smart machines and these micro markets that are going to allow them to not just have Snickers and Twix and a vending machine. It's going to give them a shelf where they can do anything from sandwiches to eggs to even a lot of our office building machines. We're doing a ton of incidental. So we're doing a lot of like Tylenol and makeup wipes and condoms and things that people don't want to walk to the Walgreens or the CVS that's 20 minutes away.
With these more, I guess, open shelves, is security an issue?
Yeah, so that's where you can either go open shelves, like, where they can just grab something. You think of a Marriott when you go check in, they got the open shelf markets right next to the check-in desk,
Hmm.
or these smart machines. The door. I'm very big on, and bullish on, like the machine I was talking about from Cantaloupe a little bit ago. Is you got these doors that are locked, and to unlock the door to grab something, you got to put your credit card or your Apple Pay. And so if you unlock that door and grab 20 things, whatever card that was validated to unlock it is going to get charged for those 20 things.
Makes sense. And what kind of cash flow are you talking about? Is this like a daily, a weekly thing? What's the return?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Aaron. So when we talk revenue, I think the big thing is you want good locations that are going to, the cash flow, like the risk is always a bad location. And for us, kind of our goal is $70 a day or more. That kind of gets us up over 2,500 bucks a month. We have everything from there to, we have a micro market that last month, the last 30 days, it's literally done 17 grand. So it's doing $565 a day. So um, that's kind of the beauty is you try to find out what's working at these locations and then double down on that to drive increases in sales.
That's that's incredible cash flow, especially for something you don't have to put any money down, or pay
Yeah.
interest on. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing. So, what about the locations? I mean, these are businesses, or uh, like, how do you negotiate? Do you lease the space, or is it a percentage that you pay to the the owner of the establishment? How's that work?
Yeah, so it's totally going to be location dependent. So a lot of businesses, they might not care about revenue share, but they care about maybe you lower the prices 5% to make it cheaper for their employees to go to the break room to get the items and not want to get in their car and drive to the Wawa or the 7-Eleven. That's going to take an hour out of their day away from work. And then you got the properties like, let's say, an apartment complex where the ownership group does care about revenue. And so they might ask you to give them, let's say, 2 to 3% of revenue share to basically have access to their building.
Okay. And I mean, I'm trying to think. What is the? Are there some downsides to this? Where's the hard work come in? Where's the maybe the gotcha that when people say that, well, this is all upside.
Yeah.
I'm going into vending
Yep.
machines.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's three kind of main things when we talk about the downside of vending. The first one is it's not get rich quick. Like it's going to take 10 at bats at going after locations to get three, home runs, so to speak. So it's a game of repetitions. It's a game of, locations are going to be the fuel for your business. So you got to take care of your current customers, but also you got to roll up your sleeves a little bit because the first 90 days is not going to be passive for you. And then I think the second thing is these machines aren't going to stock themselves. And so if you're not good at delegating, you're going to have to stock them yourself. Like for me personally, once I learned the process and did it enough times, I was like, I need to, what's your time worth? Buy back your time, so to speak. So that's when I hired an operator I could trust that could go in there and stock those machines for me. But, we have a lot of vendingpreneurs that are really struggling with this whole idea of letting go and they want to stock their machines, but it's also holding them back from spending time getting new locations, which is where, the real kind of hockey stick effect of their revenue is going to happen. So I think those are definitely some of the cons when it comes to vending. I get people all the time that are like, I hate my day job. I'm ready to leave my W-2 yesterday. And it's like, that's great. But, your first vending machine at 2,500 bucks a month, that's cash flowing $1,200 a profit. Like that's not going to replace your 9 to 5 overnight. So you got to build it over time. It's not get rich quick.
Um, sure. So when you're talking about these entrepreneurs that uh, start with a couple machines, they gotta, what do they, beat the pavement and just go to these establishments with the foot traffic? And is this face to face? Is it cold calling? How do you uh, make those first introductions and, I don't know, scope a place out?
Yeah, that's a really good kind of you know, I look at it as two ways. You can either do it yourself and pound the pavement, or you can do a combination or accelerate that timeline by having other people help you. And that's kind of what ultimately we do. We have 6 full-time cold callers in house. We have email specialists that send out over 30,000 emails to what we consider high revenue targets for vending a day. And so my 99% of my time is actually negotiating national contracts with big portfolios, whether that's like, urgent cares, whether that's vet hospitals, whether that's, Goodwills or whatever type of location would be a good vending type location. I'm negotiating national contracts for our community to kind of drop leads in their bucket wherever they live. So if Aaron lives by the beach and there's, a senior citizen home down the street, and I just negotiated a national contract with their parent company, I can go to Aaron and be like, hey, as part of this national contract, do you want to put a vending machine in the senior citizen home in your backyard? And so that's kind of, there's two prongs to this. There's totally the roll up your sleeves, go door knock, like you're, selling solar panels to people, or we can help you kind of accelerate that.
Are there a lot of these national brands or national companies that are doing vending? And what is the competition? If somebody wants to get started, uh, are they facing a red ocean?
Yeah, so the competition honestly is the kind of baby boomer generation that has traditional machines in there already. So probably 90% of our new locations we find every day are places that have old school machines that are tired of these machines being left empty because the baby boomers aren't tracking inventory using their phones remotely. So the machines, humans are lazy, or they just want an upgrade, and instead of offering Doritos and Snickers, they want to put fresh salads and sandwiches in a market.
So it's in changing the what's offered, right? A little
Correct.
getting some unique offerings out there, unique products, unique vending machines out there is the way to get your foot into a place with soda and chips as the only options.
Yeah, it's kind of like going from a flip phone to an iPhone.
I know I actually have a few friends who have gotten their teenage kids into this business with their first vending machine. Uh, how uh, is there an approach, some kind of a script that these people, these folks can use that works? What have you found as the best first foot in the door?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think there's definitely scripts. The approach that I recommend is the amenity approach. We're kind of the V word might have a bad taste in people's mouths. It's kind of like saying trailer parks instead of mobile home parks. They're two different kind of views of the same thing. And so I always lead with the amenity play and not the vending play, for the reason that you're providing something that they've never had before, whether that's like we were talking about fresh salads or subs, or maybe it's the idea of we're going to do incidentals in there as well, like phone chargers and Tylenol or what have you.
What about this uh, with these more perishable items? That's
Hmm.
how what kind of um, manpower is required. There's a certain when it comes to shelf stable items.
Yep.
There's bottles of water don't go bad. I mean, for the most part. Uh, I've definitely tasted some pretty plastic tasting bottled water uh, on the battlefield when they just sit in the sun. But uh, for the most part, water and soda, it can sit in a warehouse for as long as it needs. Whereas a salad and a sandwich, what kind of a turnover, like how often do these things need to be filled? And who like obviously when you start to scale, you're not doing it all yourself. So how do you find and how do you how do you schedule and pay these people that are actually tending to the machines?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So you're saying on your deployments you weren't having micro markets and you're on post and going and pulling a fresh salad out of the cooler. You had your little packed meals that were
Mm,
if you were lucky, you could mix some water in there to make them taste a little bit better, but that's about it, type
yes,
of
it was
thing.
not the
So,
rotisserie chicken on a ciabatta
yeah,
sandwich out of a AI, you know, computerized vending machine. No, no,
yeah,
we were
yeah,
getting pallets of bottled water from one desert logistics location to another, and it was never very well refrigerated.
yeah, yeah. And so, Aaron, what we do is we like to buy our because shelf life is obviously a concern that you want to get ahead of. And so, if you go to like a Costco or even like a Walmart and you buy some salads off their shelf, or let's just use fresh sandwiches. So a deli sandwich that's packaged, you're looking at a 7 to 8 day shelf life if you're lucky. So we actually have a distribution agreement nationally where people can go and order product, and that distribution will deliver it. So like we actually just had a pallet delivered yesterday of product, and like these sandwiches were still frozen. And so for us, those sandwiches will have a 10 to 12 day shelf life once they're thawed. And so we'll purposely keep them in a freezer in our warehouse until we're ready to go with those sandwiches. And then the great thing is with the technology of these smart machines, we can track inventory remotely and then get ahead of, okay, we're out of 3 rotisserie chicken ciabattas, like we need to backfill. There's only two left in there. But also keep in mind, Aaron, we can track the shelf life of those and set up dynamic pricing remotely. So if we know those sandwiches are going to expire, let's say, hypothetically, let's say today's Monday, they're going to expire on Friday, we can set it where Tuesday, the price on the price tag on the machine is going to go down 10% off. Wednesday, it's going to be 20% off. And then Thursday is going to be 50% off before our stalker knows he has to go by there Thursday night and pull them from the shelf. And so that allows us to get ahead of things like spoilage, and no different than going to the grocery store when you go to the meat section and you're like, holy cow, these steaks are 10% off. Well, they're 10% off for a reason.
I hadn't even considered that. That's amazing. That's like uh, we have rental properties, and we use a dynamic pricing,
Yeah.
third party software to change the nightly rates, like hotel rooms. But and I was just talking to somebody about Amazon, wholesaling and dynamic pricing on Amazon. But I hadn't even considered it for vending machines. But with the technology, it's I thought it was great when you were able to use a credit card instead of keeping cash on hand. But this is a whole new level when you've got dynamic pricing for perishable goods inside your vending machines. Um,
Yeah. And it's no, oh, sorry, go ahead.
so what about um, markup? What kind of a margin are you looking for? And I know we're talking about a 13-cent bottle of water marked up to, I don't know, $6 at the airport. But what about these perishable goods? I'm sure it's a slimmer margin, but how much are you able to pull from that?
Yeah, so we try to get anywhere from 2 to 3x what we're paying for it. So, for example, with drinks, it's a lot easier to do a little higher markup. So, let's say a $4 Celsius, if we can get that through our national distribution at $1.33 cost of goods, that's a pretty good markup. Now, you're right. $4.99 salad we get, we probably can't charge $15 for, because they're just going to go to a restaurant at those prices and get a even bigger and quote unquote more freshly made salad that's not packaged. So we might, if we're lucky, we might do like a 1.75 markup on that salad and come in around, $7 or $8. It's totally product dependent, but we're definitely aware of kind of what the prices are. There is a piece of this that they're paying for convenience, but we also don't want them walking 2 blocks over to the 7-Eleven or grocery store, and we're not competitive. So that's something we definitely pay attention to with like our market analysis.
Wow. I'm thinking of all of the potential there. What about other items? Are you doing like the hot coffee, cold drinks, anything like that, or uh, is it strictly like canned, bottled, or these food items?
Yeah, we'll definitely do some service based stuff where, property might pay us for, I don't know, 3 bags of beans a week of coffee. And they have a coffee maker in the lobby. We drop off the beans. They have a front desk lady that might clean the coffee maker every 2 days. And we're just servicing with the beans, and ultimately almost like a caterer for their coffee, so to speak. So we definitely offer that service, but it's not something we lead with. We're more on the unattended retail side of things.
And I think you've mentioned before about parallel services, like in hotels or banks or office buildings, where you service um, the vending machines, but then there are other services that they may also appreciate that you can provide. Do you do that, or is that like a referral thing?
Not yet. It's something on our radar for the future. I mean, we have properties, we have vending machines in that are, they need cleaners, they need all these kind of ancillary, they need an ATM, these kind of ancillary services that might align with like, hey, we're going by there once a week anyway, or we can manage, this service, whatever. So, uh, right now I think it's at the point where we're doing something really well in a niche, but we know there's future opportunity to expand, but just trying to, as like walk that fine line between focusing on what we're good at versus exploring um, other roads to take.
How does someone find out where to find these vending machines, especially the newer brands and newer types? And then is it that you find the machine and then the market to place it, or vice versa? You find a place with high traffic and match the right kind of product to put.
Yeah, so we have a free community that people can join where we do have access to all these kind of things, whether that's the types of machines, the types of locations. Yeah, so they can, if they go to our website, they have access to this community where we share those resources. Absolutely.
That sounds great. And what's the name of that community? Where do they find that?
They can go to vendingpreneurs.com, and then they'll get access to either the free community, or if they want to upgrade and actually go all in on building a vending route, they can get access to the paid community. So it's totally their choice.
What are some of the things that people don't even think about when entering into uh, this kind of occupation, this entrepreneurial venture? There's the machine, there's the location, there's the supply, and if somebody is getting started, where do they find the supply? Is it all Costco and Sam's Club?
Well, that's one thing, Aaron, that I realized real quick by doing this, that there was no easy way to get product. And maybe you go to your Costco. We have a lot of people that live in cities that don't even have Costco or Sam's, and even when the ones like us that do have a Costco, the items at our Costco might be different than the items at your Costco. And so there was no like standardized way to get product. And so that's one thing we've done, is built a platform where people with vending machines or micro markets can go to get their product.
Oh, it's fantastic. So uh, even if you don't have one of those big box stores nearby, you can you can link up with your community and find discounted rates for these supplies.
Exactly. So that's one thing I realized real quickly getting into vending is the price breaks happen at economies to scale. So
Hmm.
when I built out this community, I went to, the big players in the game, the big kind of drink distributors that you are familiar with, and the big snack distributors, and was like, hey, my vending route here in X state only does this amount of revenue, but we have 400 to 500 others across the country. Can we centralize this into one key account? And they were like, absolutely, because they want access to all of them.
Wow. And this is also for these perishable goods, or is that?
Yep. Yep. Perishable goods as well. Yep. Anything that goes in a micro market or a vending machine, we've built out a platform where you can go to get it.
That's fantastic. And what is the most common one that people? Where would you tell people to start? What's the first step?
I think the first step is uh, go take advantage of some of our free resources, like I was talking about, and just kind of see if it's going to spark some fires in you, or spark some ideas of locations or connections you have to locations of personal friends or family that might open some doors for you. And then if you are interested in kind of doubling down and actually going after it full on as an entrepreneur, we're definitely happy to accelerate that path for you. Because even the used machine example I shared earlier, like I'm big into kind of, if we can help people avoid some of these roadblocks that I went through, that's our whole goal as coaches.
It's just like a market research type thing where you're driving around almost like in real estate, driving for dollars. You're looking for locations that would be
Yeah,
prime.
exactly. That's it. Driving for dollars. I haven't heard that in a while. It's making a comeback though in the current real estate market.
Well, that's right. You did start in real estate, didn't you?
Yep. Yep. I just couldn't afford the down payments anymore. That was the biggest thing, Aaron, is like the 20% down from these banks. And at that time, I didn't know anything about creative financing or using leverage or any of that. So I was like, okay, well, you can get a vending machine and it'll cash flow just as much as my rental property, and I can do 0% down. Like, well, here's another kind of diversification strategy.
You know, it doesn't matter the investment vehicle or the entrepreneurial vehicle. It's that you do it and you do it well, right? So um, for, I tell this to everybody that'll listen, is that real estate is great for a lot of people, but it's not for everybody. Just like investing in the stock market or uh, you name it, starting buying small businesses. You're doing like the Cody Sanchez thing, where you're doing pressure washing or I don't know, but so long as you're becoming an expert in that particular niche and you're working it, it's yeah, um, it doesn't matter the vehicle. Uh, it's that you do it well. So, what advice would you have for somebody that's getting started? Find that network like yours and start learning? Is it getting to know a particular market? Is it start recruiting or start shopping? Uh, all of the above.
Yeah, I think the key thing is you got to start. You know, these entrepreneurial ideas are just that unless you take action. And I think this is what ultimately you're about, and what inspires me about your story is if you're going to look for an excuse, you'll find one, you know, and like you're the perfect example of taking action no matter what excuses your mind can come up with. And so with a lot of these people, it's just you got to start, and vending or not, like whatever that is, whatever, like you said earlier, when we come across something and you're like, wow, that's a great business idea. Well, there's a lot of great business ideas that don't reach that point where we actually see that product come to fruition, or that business come to fruition. And so my big thing is you just got to start, and you got to you know, every day is a process, and don't get caught up in the results, and if you stay focused on the process, you're gonna succeed.
Thank you very much. But I have to tell you a second experience with vending, and a second time I said no. But years ago, when we just started our fudge company, we hired a brand manager. We didn't even know what that was, but um, she started brainstorming all these different avenues of basically wasting our time and money, uh, like buying completely like vintage looking vending machines and putting our own products in them uh, at airports and stuff. And I thought that sounds pretty cool. But then the machines that she was sending us, they look cool. They were expensive. They were probably off of eBay, where you're not going to get financing. And then our products, we would have to put them in much smaller packaging, which would cost us a whole lot more because we didn't even have the packaging for these things. And I thought, what are we paying you for? You have one job. But again, I got soured on vending, where I thought, you know what? I'm not thinking about this the right way. We're doing something completely different, and this is we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Um, but every time I come back to it, it's doing it the right way. It sounds like an excellent way to to define that passive income. Right? It's not totally passive like anything, but it certainly sounds like it cash flows pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so tell me, let's follow. Let's backtrack just a little bit and look at the cost here versus like what's the return, ROI, right? If you're looking at $5,000 to $10,000 per machine, and then what's it cost to fill this machine? How much are uh, you're paying on the loan, the debt, and then on, of course, labor and time. So walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, so we have machines in micro markets that do anywhere from $1,000 a month to $17,000 plus a month. And so if we just let's go conservative and say we have a machine that's doing 2 grand a month, okay, and so easy kind of math, cost of goods is typically anywhere from 30 to 40%. So let's just say it's 35%. So $2,000 cost of goods is around, let's say, $800. Okay, so you're looking at $1,200 out of that 2 grand. You know, you might have to pay some fees and some Wi-Fi or data depending on the type of machine. So let's just say all in with your fees is 50%. So right away of that $2,000 a month of that machine, you got $1,000 of profit, and so you can get really aggressive, and like us, we'll put extra principal down towards the payment on the machine. every month and try to get those machines paid off in the first year. So that's kind of the mindset. Other people might just pocket that $1,000 of profit, or like for me, I'm all about making my vending route passive. So I'll hire an operator at $20 an hour to go stock those machines, and that machine usually takes an hour of week of work. So 1 hour times 4 weeks, we got about $100. Let's say we tip them an extra $25, so we're looking at $125 in labor for that machine. So right there, you got a $2,000 machine minus $1,000 of cost of goods and fees minus $125 in labor, and I'm pocketing $700-800 of that.
That's one machine uh, per month. That's not bad at all. Uh,
No, and you start getting 10 plus locations, and you can start to see where the hockey stick of profitability really kind of.
I'm curious. You said $17,000. What kind of machines bring that in?
Yeah, so we have a micro market in a high end apartment complex that gets a lot of foot traffic. And yeah, with the last 30 days, so we installed it a few months ago. Our first 30 days, it did like 13 grand. And we're like, oh, wow, this is definitely the honeymoon stage. Everyone's like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to try this market out. Um, but actually, the last 30 days, we've done, I think, like $17,025. And our cost of goods, I think, was $6,900.
Wow. And what is that selling?
A little bit of everything. So it's a full on micro market that's got everything from, we sold 435 smart waters to, we got some fresh food items in there. We got your traditional snack shelves. I got chips, candy. But the other interesting thing is we have an entire shelf that's called incidental. So we got toilet paper, we got paper towels, we got laundry pods, we got sticks of deodorant, we got everything you could think of: Tylenol, makeup wipes, condoms, tampons, kind of the whole CVS Walgreens shelf of that micro market.
How much space does this take up?
That's a good question. So this one's actually in an unused yoga room they had. So I think it's about 3 feet deep by about 8 feet uh, long. So it's about a half of like a wall of a 10 by 10 room. But most of the time these are on the hallway wall that as you're walking in or walking out of some type of place. It's usually not a designated room that wasn't being used for something.
Hmm. Uh, that's uh, that's pretty amazing. And I'm trying to picture what these look like. They're the large mini bars or convenience stores, like those kind of grab convenience areas, grab and go at the local hotel, but they've got a
Exactly. Yep.
secureable door. Is it like a sliding
Yeah,
door?
or they're just open. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Open with a camera right on top. So the same thing you'll see in
So
an
it's wide
airport.
open.
Like if, yep. Yep. With camera right above it.
That's incredible. I think there's I, what's coming next? Like after this, where do you see it going?
Oof. I mean, unattended retail is such a fast, disruptive market right now. You think of the Amazon just walk out technology. I just saw that at a Blazers game where they had here in Portland at the Moda Center. They had a freaking uh, literally, you walk in with your credit card to open the gate, then you grab your hot dog, your soda, and you walk out the other side. And you don't talk to anyone. There's no kiosk. There's no honor system like the open shelf we just talked about. There's AI cameras that are tracking your movement through this kind of gated space, and whatever you grab and you walk out, it literally identifies where the hot dogs are on that shelf, where the sodas are on that shelf, where the french fries are. So the unattended retail space is just going to blow up, and you got AI now and you got robots. I mean, it's here to stay.
That's wild. I mean, it seems so sci-fi, but yeah,
It
like you said,
does.
it's changed. It's changing. So it's changing every day. It's not fiction anymore. But a vending machine that you literally walk right through. So that's incredible. Well, Mike, this has been uh, enlightening, exciting, actually. I tell people that my I've got the worst shiny object syndrome for a blind guy. You can imagine, but I'm gonna have to look a little deeper into this. No, but my son is 13 and uh, he's kind of got the entrepreneurial bug. He definitely wants a lot of things that cost a lot of money. So I'm trying to get him into something that uh, he can do and won't interfere with his schoolwork, and that will teach him some, you know, money skills and some a little bit about running a business or being an entrepreneur and looking things from a different lens than just hourly pay. So this sounds like a great avenue for him. Uh,
Absolutely. It's like vending in or micro markets in 2024 is the lemonade stands of when we were kids. You know, you just got to start. What's the first kind of indicator of a successful entrepreneur is did they start a vending machine business in the 2020s?
my first entrepreneurial venture was buying sleeves of chewing gum, bubble gum from the convenience store for like a buck 25 for like 6 packs of gum, opening it all up, dumping it all into a big gallon baggie, and then selling them for 25 cents a piece at school. Uh, but gosh, if my son's first entrepreneurial venture uh, is a vending machine, he's gonna kick my butt as far as head start. Um, well, that's a fantastic idea. I love what you're doing. I love that you're building a community and helping others get their start in vending. I think that's a great place to segue into uh, the final segment, which is called the countdown to impact. And this is a 3, 2, 1. 3 books that have made an impact in your life, 2 quotes, and 1 person that has made an impact. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the 3, 2, 1 of impact for me would be 3 books I recommend are going to be Comfort Crisis, which at the end of the day is all about getting uncomfortable. Um, I think the second one is Buy Back Your Time, really trying to understand kind of what you can delegate and ultimately what's your time worth, and making you focus a little bit more. And then the third one for me is Profit First. That's had a massive impact for those that run a business. The profit first mentality is really going to kind of open your eyes when it comes to your spending and your business expenses, and that's really kind of accelerated our growth as a business, is that profit first mentality. So Comfort Crisis, Buy Back Your Time, and Profit First are probably the 3 books. When it comes to 2 quotes, I'm not a big quote guy, but behind me on the wall, you can't see it, but Man in the Arena, I keep coming back to. You have people that are going to critique you, and you have people that are going to come at you and be naysayers, because that's just who they are. And at the end of the day, are they in the arena, and the people you want next to you? I mean, this is the best lesson you learn in the military, is like the team of teams, right? And the kind of the man in the arena with you. So that's always been a powerful quote. And then I think, I'm a huge Ted Lasso fan. So Be a Goldfish has always been something I think about. You always want to kind of think of those losses more than the wins a lot of times, but it's kind of like either win or learn type of mentality. And so being a goldfish and just taking those uh, kind of losses and turn them into learning moments and ultimately kind of flush them out of the system to make you better. And um, those are kind of two quotes. And then what was the third
One
aspect? What was the
person,
one?
one person that's made an impact in your life.
Oh man, put me on the spot with that. I don't know if I could go with one, but I guess I probably could. My wife is definitely someone that's I just come back to. She's a multiplier for a lot of things in my life, whether that's with raising the kids or just being a sounding board with the business stuff. So that's probably someone that's been a mentor outside of my parents.
It's fantastic. I tell you what, though, those are great book suggestions. I'm gonna have to read the Comfort Crisis. I've had that suggestion before. The other
Aaron, you got
ones,
to read it. You got to read The Comfort Crisis, and the reason why you're gonna love it is it does a good job of combining old school mentalities with new research. Like you think of rucking, and people don't understand, why does the military ruck, and what's the point of putting weight on your back, and every morning at morning PT you're rucking, and it uses literally the old school backdrop history of why rucking became a thing and how that like cardio, so to speak, is related to just everything. And then take it a step further, another chapter is on like cold plunges and the mentality behind cold plunge. I mean, it's just such a good book that takes the old school hard things, quote unquote, and relate them back to today's research on why they're important.
well, that's my next read. And
And
if for a
I
guy,
don't get any affiliates for the author, but it's a book that I give to everybody.
for a guy who doesn't do quotes, you picked one. I don't think anybody could cite verbatim. Uh, the man in the arena is certainly not. That's like a chapter, not or even a paragraph versus a couple lines. But it's also just a fantastic quote. For anybody who hasn't read it, they got to look that one up. The Man in the Arena by and that was uh, Theodore Roosevelt, right? Anyways, um,
Yep, Theodore, exactly.
and of course, your wife. This is definitely a safe pick, but uh, I uh, uh, I think is a great one. We have to pick wisely when we get married. And I think unfortunately, so often nowadays, marriage is just taken far too lightly, and it's a shame. But Mike, I really appreciate your time, your sharing your insights on this incredible uh, market and method for financial freedom. Where can others find you if they want to learn some more, connect, or join this community?
Yeah, so the easiest way to connect with me is probably on Instagram. I'm pretty big on sharing kind of my story and kind of more behind the scenes on there. So I think my handle is like Mike D Hoffman underscore. So two F's, two N's. You'll find me on there with all my vending content. It's pretty uh, easy to find, but that's probably the easiest path. And then if folks are serious about looking into vending some more, you can go to vendingpreneurs.com. So just like entrepreneurs, but vendingpreneurs.com. Schedule a free call with our team if you're interested. We'll do a free market analysis of where you live on kind of the vending potential in that market, and just go from there.
That's awesome. Well, thanks one more time, and uh, have a great day.
Aaron, thank you. This is so inspiring. What you're doing and how you're doing it is incredible. So keep doing it. You're making a huge impact.
I appreciate that.